Bernie, welcome to Kick and Chase for the first time, I think, this year. What is that like looking back on that? You still get a few goosebumps? Still a highlight?
Yeah, it's definitely a highlight. You know, that was a remarkable journey, especially the back end of that year. And, you know, it's either myself or Mertz requesting it. He was the kicking coach that year and he had me over to his house and we finished off a few bottles of red that one night during that season. So maybe he's reminiscing more than I am.
Was that the night before the final?
Yeah.
Very kind.
It's when he plays his
To be
best
fair, you
footy.
didn't eat much, ate like a chicken. I had to finish off a couple of plate loads, which was easy enough.
Yeah, had to.
There wasn't much left in the bottles, but...
And this year, what's it been like so far?
Yeah, it's been, I suppose, a frustrating start for me personally, missing a couple of games, getting injured in that final warm-up game and then missing the start of the season's always tough, you know, sitting on the sideline. But it's been good to be back in now and play a number of games. And, you know, we've got a really exciting month of footy coming up and, you know, really eager and excited for that.
There's a bunch of people watching tonight who've probably never been concussed or knocked out or in any way. What's it feel? Well, Mertz never made a
Got to play
tackle.
contact
So that never
sport.
happened. What's it actually feel like to you? What are you going through?
Yeah, it was an interesting time. It was the first time I've ever experienced it, and it was just headaches and also that difficulty to concentrate or just to focus on something. Your peripherals start playing up on you, and you start sort of second guessing yourself. So. Yeah, it was an interesting time in my life, but also just waking up every day thinking, am I going to be right? What can I do today? And you go and train and exercise, and then the next day, you'll feel worse, you'll have more headaches, you just feel lethargic. So it was something that, you know, hung around for a lot longer than I thought was going to. But, you know, I'm just happy now that it's...
Did you ever talk to the Berwick Barnes of this world about what they went through? Was it the same?
Yeah, I did actually. I called up Berwick and had a good chat to him for a while. And you know, I think the thing about head injuries is everyone's individual. You know, no one knows actually how to heal the head or what helps it recover. And every knock's different, and everyone suffers differently. So, in terms of that regard, you know, it was good to speak to those guys and guys who have experienced it. But in the end of the day, I think you're the only one who knows when you're right or when you're ready to be back playing.
At least now, though, like you don't feel pressured at all to come back and play. Like I'd say a few years ago, maybe 3 to 5 going back, you probably would feel pressure from yourself or teammates to play, but it's certainly not the case now, is it?
Yeah, you know, I've a lot of regard to how they handled it in terms of, you know, not really pushing you. I know Daryl Gibson, the coach, he had experienced one where he missed 10 weeks, so he was quite understanding, and the medical staff in not, you know, pushing you or trying to make you play. I think it, as I said before, it comes down to the individual and you being honest with yourself and knowing when you're right and when you can go out there and apply yourself.
You've never been one to shy away from the contact side of the game at 10. That last game against the Hurricanes, you seemed even more so to be taking on the line a lot. Were you actually trying that? It was just the way that it fell? Were you trying to sort of test yourself and get through it? And how did it actually feel every time you went into the contact, being your first sort of proper game back?
Yeah, it's funny. I think, you know, you prepare yourself in trainings, you do all the contact sessions, and then you get in the game, and then after that first one, it goes out of your mind. You know, you don't think about it. You're in full game mode, so you're not really worried about every collision. I know, you know, everyone back home or mum and dad are watching every collision, but you know, for me, you know, once you're in game mode, you're not really thinking about it, and you know, my game is probably to try and take on defences and try and carry.
We don't often go into guys' personal lives on this show, Nardi, but there's been a big change in your life recently, and Nick Phipps has decided to leave you. He's moving out on you.
Yeah, Nick's he's done the bolt on us, so you know, that maybe settled the nerves or settled the head, or he's.
Some special moments here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes by himself and, you know, in a house on his own.
Goodness.
Finally grown up, Nick.
Yeah.
Moving out and Bernard. So they've had the house together at Bondi, known as the Pentagon, and now they've got a smaller house at Bondi, and Nick's finally just bit the bullet and moved out.
You've gone through the archives there to find those photos?
I didn't go through it, no. I don't stalk Instagram.
What, so are you going to probe further about, you know, who he's living with now?
Leave it, mate. Just that's enough.
Wow.
Well, it was the beginning of the end when the cuddler moved out, wasn't it? When
Yeah, poor John Lance went off over to the Force. So, yeah, we had a good stint there. I think Hoylesy, you know, came over and really added to the house a couple of times. He probably put a few holes in the wall or left his jacket, left his whole 2014 team suit at the house, but no, it was a good time.
Went home naked. Excellent.
You've got different, so we're going to park that for a second.
Yeah, leave it.
Please do.
There have been a lot of changes at the Tars, and you've got a new halfback that you're playing with, Jake Gordon. He's going all right.
Yeah, Jack's going really well. I don't think there's any correlation between that and Nick moving out, you know. But no, Jake is a really exciting halfback. You know, he's a really good athlete and likes to really challenge himself around the ruck. You know, one of his big attributes is sniping and taking on the defences around the ruck. So he's been, you know, a different dimension and a different player to Nick, and I think both of them have served the team really well.
Bernie's going to stay with us for a moment. We're going to head into the Fox Lab and try to break down exactly what makes this bloke the best 10 in the country. Here's Rod Kafer.
Well, Nick, of course, Bernard Foley's a man with ice in his veins when it comes to kicking clutch goals to win big matches. But the stats don't lie over his influence at the Waratahs and their ability to win when he is playing. When I look at the stats, and I go back to 2012, when Bernard first started playing 10 for the Tars, he is a player who has a huge influence over the game. With him, 61% chance of winning. Without him, 25% chance of winning. And you look at the numbers, average points 4, there's 5 more points a game when he's on the field, and particularly points against. A 10-point differential between him being there and not being there. The thing I love about Bernard and the way he plays is that ability for him to get square and flat when he runs the attack from 10. And this is something that he does better than any other Australian fly half. That ability to recognise when there is an opportunity and to take that opportunity going forward. He can push through for little half breaks like that. He can square up and take full line breaks because he recognises that being flat and playing at the line is a way to keep a team moving forward. The great fly halves are players who can set up people outside of him, and that's what he does so well. And it's his ability to play at this level of depth. No one else can do it 5, 6 metres away from the opposition, and he'll take you off and he'll hurt you. He will either make a break, support that break, and look to create another opportunity. A player with immense potential and such an influential player at the Waratahs. For me, the moment that I thought this is one of the great fly halves that we're going to see for Australia was in the semi-final in 2014. Bernard Foley against the Brumbies, crucial moment in the game, 75 minutes in. And just watch his work rate here. Makes 1 tackle, 2 tackles, forces the turnover from Joe Tamani, then gets back on his feet down on the bottom left, the blue ticker. This is how far he's run. He's just made the tackle. He throws the pass. He then looks to support. Look at the support line. He's anticipating the break. It almost doesn't come. Then he dips the head and says, I've got to get there. I have to be the one who's going to score this try. The critical try that led the Waratahs to winning that semi-final, eventually winning the final in 2014 against the Crusaders. A crucial moment in the game, a player for the big moments, Bernard Foley.
Thank you, Kafe. Yeah, well, we know that you love the big moments. We've seen it often enough. Who's kind of helped you design your game in that fashion, to play that style of 10?
Yeah, I've always, you know, thought my running threat is a part of my game, and I suppose a bloke like Alan Gaffney, you know, who was at the Waratahs in my early days, really challenged me to, you know, be flat or recognise space. Also, I suppose my time in sevens, you know, I really enjoyed that, and that probably allowed me to recognise space, recognise times to take on the lines or times just to pass.
You're playing against the Kings this weekend, who do like moving the ball around as well. What are your thoughts going into that game?
Yeah, they're a really attacking and exciting team. You know, the last couple of weeks, they've definitely got a lot of points in them. So for us, we've got to defend well, and probably in patches we haven't done that. We've leaked too many points, and you know, for this weekend, we've got to be able to shut down their jet shoes out wide, like you guys have alluded to all the show.
They've got some speed. Bernie, thanks for popping in. Great to see you back, not only for Tars fans, but also for Australian rugby as we head into June and the Rugby Championship as well.
Thank you. I've also got a shout out. It's Mum's birthday today, and she actually hurt her leg yesterday, so she's sitting up in the hospital bed probably watching this.
Very good. Son of the year. Well done.
Get better, Mum.